So here we are again, trying to build a base using MAF heart rate and low heart rate training, and the frustrations are still just as much as ever. How's it going, runners? My name is Justin Thompson. I'm your average running PT, and I help the average runner achieve their own personal elite status. If that's something you guys are into, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you know when the next video comes out. So I took my 2 weeks off over Christmas and New Year's, and now I'm trying to get back into training. So let's talk a little bit about how to build that base back up and the methods I'm using to do it. Okay, so this is where we're at. We're starting the base all over again. 2 weeks off, now I'm coming back, and now we're getting back into building up that aerobic capacity again. So the fact is, I didn't lose everything, but I'll be honest, I kind of feel like I did. So remember, what did I say in a previous video, kind of what my plans are for this first month? Well, for the first month, I'm going to take it those, if I can write, 3, 4. So I'm going to take these 4 weeks, and I want to do 15, 20, 25, 30 miles, okay? So that's the goal, to get back up to a decent looking base of fitness and trying to build that aerobic capacity back up. Now, what am I doing in order to get there? I am using MAF heart rate, okay? So if you don't know what MAF heart rate is, that is your maximum aerobic function number, which was coined by Dr. Phil Maffetone. Now, I've been called out in the past on this channel for not adhering to the MAF method completely, and I've said on here before, I'm not married to the MAF method, and it's not something that the whole method is something that I'm implementing. I am just implementing MAF heart rate, okay? So for me, that is 180 beats per minute minus my age, which right now is 32. So my current heart rate, MAF heart rate, is 148 beats per minute, okay? So that's what I'm trying to keep my heart rate under in order to build this base up, okay? Now, the frustrations that I've talked about in the past, in previous videos, those are still there. It's really, really hard to control things like cardiac drift, especially early in this phase. So, and there's a lot of frustration involved with controlling that heart rate and keeping it from bumping up over the miles that you're running. So there's also just the fact that, gosh, I have to, in order to control this cardiac drift, I find myself having to walk over and over again. Even though I've been doing this for about a year, taking those 2 weeks off really kind of resets the entire system, and you kind of have to work your way back. Now, why am I still encouraged by this? Yes, these are frustrations that I'm dealing with. And obviously this can lead to embarrassment if you let it. If you are worried about what other people are thinking of you, and you're worried about, running certain times for this base portion of your training, when all these other portions of your training are really the ones that are going to give you the speed that you desire to hit the times you want, the base has to be done though, okay? So if you can get over this and be okay, if you can get over this, be okay with this, and recognize that this is gonna be a thing, then we need to figure out, okay, so how long is it actually gonna take me to get out of all of this nonsense that is really frustrating, right? So for me, how long is this thing going to take? And I've done this a couple of times now, and that's what's great about this, is that I've done this before. So now I have this thing in my head where I'm like, okay, yes, I am very frustrated by all of this. Yeah, I did this, but it was so slow. And I did my first run on this week, this morning, but it was, I was walking like crazy. I had to walk so much, it was ridiculous. So how long is it actually going to take me? This is one of the biggest questions I get from people all the time. How long is it going to take me to realize the effects of the MAF training? And so for me, I've done a couple of videos about this where I felt like at the 3-month mark, everything clicked. But I don't want you to feel like you have to wait 3 months in order to get the results that you are desiring. Because what are we actually looking for? We're not looking for everything to be clicking and perfect. We're just looking for improvement, okay? And when did I actually start to see improvement in those other previous cycles, those other previous training blocks that I've done? It was at about the 3-week mark. Three weeks is where I started to see the improvements of MAF heart rate training. Okay, so what am I talking about? What are these improvements that I'm talking about? Well, number one, I feel like I'm getting a little bit more efficient. Like my legs don't feel as clunky. After coming off of a break, you haven't been doing anything. Those muscles aren't really efficient. They aren't in coordination with each other as much as they were prior to the break. So, and it was around that 3-week mark that I kind of started to feel like everything started to come back into place. And then my heart rate started getting to where I wasn't dealing quite so much with this. The cardiac drift wasn't going quite so fast. Because this right now, cardiac drift is happening somewhere around the 1.5 mile point of my runs. And when I talk about cardiac drift, I'm not talking about like it's going from 145 beats per minute to 151 beats per minute. I'm talking about it's going from 145 to I hit this and suddenly it wants to shoot up into the 160s. And that's really, really frustrating for me, right? So, and usually in the previous 2 cycles that I've done this MAF heart rate training, it's been right around that 3-week mark where this started to come under control. And this would extend out to 2 miles, to 2.5 miles, to 3 miles. And I felt like I was under much more control of this cardiac drift and of this heart rate number. And I was actually able to even keep it under that heart rate number in the 145 or low 140s. Okay? So 3 weeks is about when I start to feel like this and this all kind of starts to come a little bit more under control. Now, like I said, it did take me in those previous 2 blocks right around 3 months before I started feeling like, okay, this is how running is supposed to feel. So that 3-month mark, now here's what I'm banking on, is that the fact that I've done this twice before and the fact that our aerobic base builds on each and every training block. So my hope is that I don't have to wait for 3 months in order to realize those same kind of benefits, where right now I'm averaging 11 minutes a mile at this 148 heart rate. And that's kind of where I generally start at the beginning of all of these MAF training blocks. But at the 3-month mark in those previous 2 training blocks, I was getting down into the 9.5 minute per mile range for my easy runs. Now my hope is that that doesn't take 3 months this time. My hope is that that may take me 6 weeks, so about a month and a half. That's the hope. I will keep you guys updated on this, and I also want to keep you guys updated on this right here. So once I get through this 25-mile week, so right now we just finished 15, I just started this one. Once I get here, then I'm going to have to reevaluate. Is all of this starting to click again? Am I getting in the 10-minute per mile range for 2 or 3 or 4 miles and not having to drop back into this walking and deal with the embarrassment of that. But now when I say embarrassment, you shouldn't be embarrassed because you're doing what it takes to build this base. Okay, so again, MAF can be very, very frustrating early on. I know this is one of the biggest questions that I get is, you know, my heart rate shoots up like crazy. Should I kind of tough through it? Should I go straight to a walk? Should I even be trying to run at all and just walking only? Look, run as much as you can. When it does shoot above your MAF heart rate, you gotta walk. And that's just part of it. Keep that walk at a brisk pace so that the heart rate stays as close to that MAF number as possible. But the frustrations are going to be there, but I promise you, like I said, when I hit this 3-month mark and I was running 930s and all of my speed workouts were getting easier, the realization of the benefits of MAF heart rate training and low heart rate training are there. You just have to be patient and make sure that you take your time, because this stuff builds, okay? And my hope again is that this third training block that I'm doing, MAF training, will carry over some of what I've done in the past. And that's all I've got for today. So just make sure that you're being patient with your MAF heart rate training or low heart rate training that you are doing in order to build your base for any upcoming races. And head on out there, seek your elite. God bless, and I will see you next time.